SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of blade.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com. My name is Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, SFJ4x4, and I'm joined in Grandma's Couch Studio
By the producer, Jeff, over there.
the Italian Stallion.
Good morning, and we got mad scientist Scott Brown over on the other corner.
Yep, Doc Brown, great Scott. And we have a good podcast. It's a fun topic we've been talking about. It is the warranty voiding technician.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, we're gonna school you on that. But basically, I'm gonna have some feelings towards warranties, is what it comes down to. And as the usual, if you're interested in what we did over the weekend, my suggestion is that you hang out, post outro credits, and we'll give you a nice little update. And I will mention that I had a really unique experience, which I have not yet put on my socials, but I will.
He hasn't even told us yet.
Yep, and I will update on my socials following the podcast. And then I have a taste test of sorts to go with it.
Ooh.
So, it'll be fine.
It better
It'll
not be the dog food thing.
Maybe it is, and maybe it is.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Greg, speaking of warranty voiding technicians, Greg sent us a reel over the weekend or something and had another well-known podcaster, YouTuber.
Well, I had to laugh. He had two updates. One was a giant chiller for the roof.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a dual unit. It also
Yes.
provided heat.
Yeah, because he's a purveyor. He doesn't on Facebook, but he loves Marketplace.
Loves
he
it.
helped himself.
Yes. That was a good price for a
It was.
three-phase.
For a 5-ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
We'd
what's
have
up.
snowflakes in here.
It would be nice. After this week, it would be nice. But anywho,
What was the other video, though, that he did?
the other video was that well-known podcaster YouTuber who was part of his sponsorship was a organic or healthy dog food. But in the process, he kind of just determines that it was, in fact, just jerky, more or less, and is eating it. He's like, well, if it's good enough for your dog, it's good enough for me, and he's eating it. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of sponsorships, we are on our last sponsored episode. Is that correct, Jeffrey?
For Windshield Defense, yes.
Yeah, and so if you were not familiar, folks, we had a unique opportunity to work with that company, and so you would have been conscientious, and we'll do our last little spiel for them, and we thank them for their contributions and sponsorship in the last couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got, in the comments, Nate, who is going by Slim Nate, I think, at this point, saying, guess who's back again. So he must be back from Alaska, taken first.
And he's first, per the usual.
Then Jaga Jeeper says good morning. Bradford says morning. And then Nate's alter ego, Emanate, is guess who's back? Guess who's
That's
back?
all Jeff. Emanate.
Amy Brown says good morning. Darla says good morning. Roy says good morning.
Good morning to everybody. That is excellent. We thank you all so much for joining us. And if you are listening in your ear hole somewhere globally, maybe Antarctica.
I bet there's a lot of people wishing they were in Antarctica right
At
now.
this point, yeah. We thank you, and we value your prioritization of this particular podcast for your infotainment. Know that you too can join us live most Mondays at 10:19 a.m. And you can jump in the comments. You can attempt to beat Nate on being first. And you can kind of get in there and mosh in the comments, comment mosh pit. and say good morning, get your name mentioned, and if you're one of the regulars, sometimes we interact and have a good time with you. Speaking of that, we will not be live next week, but we will be airing our Bantam episode. So the episode where we were...
I love that we didn't tell Scott that. He's just sitting there like, oh, we're not? Okay.
Scott's finding stuff out.
It's fine.
We're letting you know now. So
Yep.
we will be airing that. Whether or not we actually post that on the Book of Faces and the YouTube initially, I don't know. That's yet to be determined. But for our devoted listeners, within their favorite streaming platforms, you're going to get to hear those interviews and those conversations. I will tell you, we interview an industry manufacturer who basically does a tell-all and
yeah, it was
trashes
their own
folks
company.
and talks about his own company. So you're not going to want to miss that, right?
Not to mention that if you're not on Patreon, go sign up for our Patreon, because at the same time we're going to be releasing the parts of the interview that we're not putting out to the general public.
Fair.
There was a lot of extra stuff going on that got recorded on microphone, so we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
Yes.
But you
for
have to be
sure.
on Patreon to hear that, because it's not general public.
Outstanding. So, warranty voiding. Oh, I should mention, for those of you who are listening live, and by Wednesday, this is the 4th of July parade, and so happy 4th of July, because by the time you're listening to this is around the grand celebration of Independence Day, and I encourage you to come out and join us with our 4th of July parade. Actually, on July 4th, we'll be lining up between 11 and 1:30. So step off is at 2 p.m. And we're going to have a taco truck and Kona Ice. And Jeffrey's going to be DJ Jeff, Jazzy Jeff.
Oh, well, wow. you were picking on my references for M&A.
And so we'll have some music going on, and we're just having a nice atmosphere while we get everybody lined up, and the Jeepers can all hang out and tell lies about our Jeeps and our grand adventures, and eat some tacos and sip on some smoothies and stuff. So please consider joining us this July 4th in Conneaut, Ohio. Whether you're near or far, come on out and have a good time. All right.
How's the weather looking?
You know what? It's
gonna
always
be
sunny.
amazing.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be gorgeous.
79, sunny. The Kona Ice is going to be perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna step off at 2 p.m. and short parade through town. It's a pretty brief but intense little parade, and ends at the festival. Will be kind of an honor ceremony. There'll be some stuff to do. In the past, we corralled into one of the local parks and took pictures. We're still working to try and get down on the sandbar and do the same. We'll see what the spirit moves us on that day.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah, warranty voiding technician. What are you thinking, Jeffrey?
well, who is a warranty voiding technician? Let's start there.
That has the T-shirt. Literally has the T-shirt.
Greg literally has a T-shirt. He has multiple shirts or sweatshirts. that
Yeah,
say
he's
it at
pretty.
this point.
He's pretty proud of himself in that regard. As far as certainly my take on this is the conversation that many people have, especially in the last 20 years, that when they're at the dealership buying a new Jeep or new to them Jeep, that there is dose things to consider. One is your manufacturer's warranty, in which we're all reasonably familiar with manufacturer warranties, but from the OE manufacturer standpoint, this is typically a powertrain. Typically, maybe there's a paint, maybe there's a leak warranty.
Yep.
It's extended to the original purchaser only.
Well,
and
some things do cross over, but
Sometimes it's second buyer.
it's base
could be second buyer.
by base.
But this is specifically intended to be a warranty that is dealt with at the dealership level through the corporate handling company or the original manufacturer of the vehicle. The alternative is, of course, a extended warranty, which of course we can all reasonably chuckle about the many spam calls and text messages regarding trying to reach individuals about their extending their extended warranty, and basically upselling folks into the perception of a safety net and this extended warranty and what it will help cover you for just a low buy-in rate of X, Y, and Z dollars.
I mean,
So,
just a quick segue. One of the things I thought was most fun when I bought the Gladiator is they knew where I worked. So literally the salesman's like, I'm not going to even bother talking to you about the extended warranty or plans I have available because I know you're just not going to take it.
And here's my challenge. I'm going to put this out to our global listening audience, and you can email us directly at contact, CONTACT, at sfj4x4.com. If you are a salesperson who listens to us, I challenge you to validate your sales pitch after you listen to our conversation today.
Yeah.
And share with us how you authentically feel about selling these extended warranties.
And I want facts. I want someone that's actually used it, had a good experience, didn't have to pay out their pocket.
100%.
You know, that kind of stuff. Because that's all the dirty little secrets they don't tell you.
100%. Because, I mean, and ultimately I'd hope that we would get into this as a little bit further, but typically the extended warranties cost on average $2,500 to $3,500.
That's rolled into the financing. It only adds a couple dollars a month. It's fine.
All right. Yep. Yep. And that's exactly what they say.
I know. I used to sell them.
And then, and ultimately, when it comes to us actually honoring an extended warranty, because obviously we're not allowed, point blank, we're not allowed to help you with an OE warranty issue. That has to be done through a dealership. But for a long time, we accepted third-party warranty companies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I pushed the paperwork, and I did the things.
He did the good fight, even though me and Greg were like, no, they're terrible. They're like one step worse than a lawyer. It's
Wow. Wow.
We were touched by aftermarket warranties is what I like to call
I'm
them.
used to you being the one offending
That's
everybody.
what I was thinking.
Wow.
They deserve
That's what
it.
I was thinking.
They deserve it. Wow.
Well, apparently warranty companies and lawyers in Scott's book.
Yes.
But
You
know,
need a lawyer to fight the warranty company. So
at this point, you do, because
do.
their job is to pay out as little as humanly possible.
Yep.
They don't want to pay the service shop. They don't want to pay for the actual broken parts. And I'm saying that from a company, and we realistically went 3 to 5 years trying desperately. I know you and Greg were never on board per se, but I desperately was trying to be like,
You want the best out of people.
I
You
want the best out of them.
You expect them to have some integrity, to have some honor code, do their job with some zeal,
And
they're just there to suck the life out of you.
But the thing of it is you can get them to pay for what they're supposed to. It just takes hours and hours of
they beat
legwork
you
and
down. And really the
tenacity to be able to fight it.
we're saying the word wrong because we call it a warranty. It's an insurance policy.
Sure.
Because and that might help you understand, because an insurance company's job is to pay out as little as possible and collect as much premium as possible.
It's a business model.
It's a business model. If they paid out to everyone
Yep.
the max amount, they would go bankrupt.
Yes.
So that is really what these places are doing. Is they're selling you high, and then trying to give you as little as possible for the time period possible. And most of the time they win. Like we have an extended warranty on my wife's car. Because of that, we seldom drive it for extra long things because I don't want the mileage to go up on it. And we have not used that $3,500 warranty one time the
Sure.
entirety of the time we've owned the car.
Sure. Now, and the thing is, you bought that car new,
No, it was used, but it was like a year old.
so it did not have the manufacturer's warranty still on it.
So the person that had originally bought it didn't shut it off, so it had 30,000 miles on it,
Okay.
a year old.
I see.
So we were at that uncomfortable with that brand. It was 50,000 miles.
Yes.
So I was like, hey, we plan on keeping this a long time. I had a transmission I wasn't the most warm as fuzzies about. And this is another perfect example. Because of buyer confidence on earlier models, they extended the warranty on her transmission for anyone that owned that vehicle.
Okay.
And that's why I said factory warranties have that there's a certain, you have to check each time for specifics. Like I know to bring it back into the Jeeps, corrosion warranties on JLs, it's 5 years. If you have bubbles in your aluminum panels, they will do something for you. Now, obviously, the dealership will range different by dealership to dealership what they will do. Some will go out and try to help you. Some will do as bare minimum. But that is for anyone. Like me and Jeff need to go talk to our dealerships.
Yep. Yep.
We have bubblage happening.
But, you know, and so I don't want to exactly super hop around, you know, because I want to kind of specifically talk about, you know, extended warranties, and I do want to talk about manufacturer warranties in that nature. And I also at the near the end we will reveal whom I do think that there were a few good extended warranty companies. And of course, in that process of you buying that new or new to you vehicle, oftentimes a salesperson will say, well, this is your manufacturer warranty, but this kind of fills in the gaps. And that's where they then do offer extended plans that, air quotes, fill in the gaps.
And I do have a qualifier too. There is extended warranties through the OE manufacturer where you can have them cover it longer. I don't hate on those as much because you have a more likelihood of getting your stuff fixed. But the ones that are a separate company entity, those ones I have more of a grievance about. Obviously, there is a couple brands that do try to do some integrity, but in my experience with those second or aftermarket warranty companies, like if you go into a used car lot and they're selling you a extended warranty, don't do it. Just don't. Those places that they are offering hardly ever pay out.
I think it's to be very succinct. It's going to be this kind of classic. You know, they've got under 50 cars on their lot. It's usually a buy here, pay here with an independent overhead. We're not talking about your standard JD buy rider or other credit type of, you know, they're trying to help you rebuild your credit.
I could go in the JD buy rider, but maybe that's another.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's not get into that. I'm just saying these are what I call startup independent used car dealers who are offering extended warranties. That package of used car dealership or that package of extended warranty is not usually comprehensive.
I wouldn't
it's
even
just kind
call
of
them
whoever.
startup. Some of them are just been there for decades, and you don't know how they are still there with 10
100%.
cars on their lot.
But let's go back to we will circle back to that. But let's go to the point of sale, and the salesman says, "Well, maybe you're in there and you say, hey, you know what? I really like the look of these Jeeps that are bigger, and they've got 35s or 37s, and I like different headlights. I want to do some stuff. I want to trick it out. I hear that term still used. And the salesman goes, okay, well, yeah, but if you do that, you're going to void your warranty.
Well, the problem I have is sometimes the salesman goes, oh, no, you can do whatever you want. It's fine. We'll cover it. It's good. And then the service writer in the service department goes, hold on. Here, let's put the brakes on. You've now lifted it. You've done this. And then I've also heard people like, well, if I have the services done at the dealership, then I'm covered.
Well, and that's the problem is we've just produced 3 different storylines already that we hear on a regular basis where, because as you mentioned, that if I have it done, so that's for me, the salesperson is the one who says, oh, no, that's going to void your warranty. So they can just flat out go, no, we want nothing to do with that. And I factually, understand that to my inner circle of people who know me and interact and share, I will produce with you what dealerships will flat out be like, we don't deal with modified Jeeps. They won't modify themselves. They won't work with a modified Jeep. You take it in for a factory recall, they'll do everything in their power to blame stuff that you've done to it.
I'm going to tell you, even a good dealership is still going to play that card at first.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
But I know a couple dealerships that, unless that Jeep is running stock tires and stock suspension with stock electronics, with stock, exterior components, that's all they're comfortable with doing. But there is a hustle on behalf of the salespeople who say, well, if you do it with us, well, all that does is bolster their financial package that they get to roll into financing.
Yep.
Yes, I actually believe, I actually really trust in the Mopar suspension by today's standards.
Yeah.
I actually think that that's pretty well engineered, decent springs, decent shocks.
But you are paying extra for the name in that situation.
You're paying, unquestionably, you're paying about $500 to $1,000 more for it to be a quote-unquote Mopar lift. And time again, I see individuals in the social spheres being like, well, I went with a Mopar lift because it doesn't void my warranty.
Or I only went with a 2-inch lift because it doesn't void my warranty.
So in the comments, we've got Jeannie saying good morning, James saying good morning, Sean saying morning, my friends, and Yvonne saying good morning.
Good morning to all of you. Thank you for prioritizing, joining us this morning. And that's the other complete misnomer is when you get a sales individual who goes, oh, well, since the Mopar lifts 2 inches, I think you could probably go 2 and under and it won't void your warranty.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, buddy. So
I think it kind of goes without, for a good example, when I bought the Gladiator, it was on 35s with aftermarket wheels and aftermarket headlights. That was a lease turn-in. The guy before me decided he was going to modify it and lose all those upgrades when he traded in. They would not do a preferred package used on it through Mopar because it didn't have the stock tires on it.
Huh.
The headlights kind of scared it under the radar because they didn't scream at you, hey, I'm changed. But because it didn't have the stock wheels and tires, they could not do their little stamp of approval. Boink,
Yes.
Happy to sell you this. This is our inspected green light. Everybody's
you got
happy.
the as is.
It was kind of as is. Still obviously had some warranty. But I bet you if I would have had any axle problems or anything like that within
a nominal period of
30,000 miles, they would have pushed back, even though I bought it at a Chrysler dealership that way.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this just to kind of cut the skinny in the conversation. First and foremost, warranties from corporate are highly okay, gosh. I was really feeling a way. Warranties at corporate are actually kind of black and white. Warranties at dealerships are highly subjective.
And that is because there's a big misnomer. People see a dealership, they have the signage, they have the vehicles out front. They think they are a direct arm of the OE. They are not.
Nope.
They are just allowed to sell their products, and they are suggested rights of conduct. Hey, you should sell it for this much. Hey, you should take care of our warranties. You should take care of any kind of safety recalls that we have. We as the OEs push the people into you. That is kind of your perk.
I'm going to reiterate, Scott, and I'm going to, just because I think this is a concept that has to be reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
Dealerships are not Stellantis. Dealerships are not corporate Chrysler. They're not. Dealerships are independently owned or conglomerate-owned entities allowed to sell product made by Stellantis.
Now there is
It's like a
I s-
franchise McDonald's.
It's like a franchise McDonald's.
Now there is rights of conduct. Like I said, there's basically a rule book that they have to sort of play by.
It's a
But-
guideline.
But it's a guideline, and it's who do you know kind of scenario. Is your guy above you that goes around and like slaps the wrists of the dealership actually going to come slap you? They know that,
Yep.
and then they know what they can get away with.
And because ultimately, folks, we're going to hammer this home because it does have to do with warranties and whatnot, but there are dealerships who are putting exorbitant price increases on rare cars
Yep.
or Jeeps or whatever they are, who are selling above MSRP, despite the fact that the corporate manufacturers are saying you cannot do this, you should not do this. And they are finding loopholes in which they are able to then circumvent those rights of conduct or those guidelines that they're supposed to be doing. I need you to know they're going to do that to your warranty as well.
Yep.
That's a business. That's not a feel-good thing that ultimately they sold you a Jeep. They're there to sell volumes of vehicles.
I think the biggest factor though is education. Knowing as a consumer what your rights are, and Nate actually brought it up, the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, and it literally protects you as a consumer from the use of aftermarket parts. You can use the aftermarket parts, and they cannot void your warranty on that unless they're providing you the parts for free.
But they're going to push back, though.
They're
So-
going to push back,
And
if you know your rights,
and they have a big legal team. There's a bunch of stuff to be considered, right?
Yeah.
Because I have personally, and it's important to know, and I oftentimes say this emboldenedly to individuals. If I haven't heard about your home dealership or your garage, that's probably best, because realistically, by the time that customers oftentimes arrive to us, they've already been to a local shop. They've already been to a dealership. They might have been wronged. The number of legal depositions that I have professionally wrote in, that my accreditation, my expertise has provided legal counsel to help consumers win in some capacity. They're against the warranty company, against the dealer, against a repair facility, is exorbitant. I simply have done more of that than your average bear. And we're not actually a business that advertises that service. And yet I have done that for consumers.
And you better believe if you have to go to that level, there's going to be something in the finals paperwork that basically this is it. You're getting this part fixed, or you're getting this transaction taken care of, and then it's gloves off after that.
And that's exactly what I was going to share, is that my level of involvement in a consumer rights case, if you will, providing that act or some right to repair or something to that effect, is arduous, right? They're paying me, they're paying us as a shop for diagnostics, for inspections, for writing the depositions. They're waiting months. I actually had the honor of helping an individual who was on some form of disability or something where he was not able to work. But he said, by God, I have time to fight this. And I'm going to do that, because he was authentically taken advantage of in this capacity. But from start to finish, I want to tell you, it was 9-12 months for him to see any financial.
They wear you down.
They wear you down.
Yeah.
It is all about trying to extend the process and nickel and dime you to the point where it does not.
Shuffle paperwork is a good.
Yeah,
adage.
where it no longer feels advantageous to you to continue this pursuit.
Yes.
And so I understand rights to repair, the Magnuson-Moss situation. And that ultimately is part, your conversation there, is this right to repair. We are legally allowed to repair our vehicles still as U.S. citizens,
Yes.
which is an interesting, a whole conversation, which is out of this, roughly on the periphery of this warranty conversation.
Yep.
Now, by extension, that then allows us this gray area of modification. But then, just as we have that right of consumers as that extension of modification, it creates the subjective nature of the dealership specifically to say, well, that's no longer warrantable because you did X, Y, and Z to your vehicle.
Yep.
It's no longer a Gala apple to Gala apple. It's just apple to apple.
And I understand some of that. Like if you change out the wheels, the tires, you put spacers on, you do all this extra stuff, and you do nothing to the axle, and all of a sudden you blow up your axle, there's an argument to be made there. There's an argument to be made. Now, if you say, well, because you put different aftermarket tires on, your engine's no longer covered, now you're getting a little further away.
The sad part is we've totally seen dealerships play that card.
Oh, yeah.
And then other ones kind of have some sense, and they're going, hey, yeah, that voided your axle warranty. But if your transmission goes out tomorrow, that's still covered.
I mean,
but that's literally a case-by-case service rider
just
by
had
service rider.
a good example where we had a Gladiator that lost steering controls.
Yep.
After an aftermarket radio was in. And the dealership goes, well, there's an aftermarket radio in, so this may not, it may be the aftermarket radio's fault. And we're like, but it's the steering wheel control module is the issue.
Yep.
And they're like, well, we'll start there, and if it is, we're warranty. If not, then it's an aftermarket radio issue. It was the steering wheel control module. Technically not related, but at the same time, they are integrated.
And this is our preferred dealership. This is who we
100%.
prefer to work with. This is where I bought my truck.
Yeah.
Because they are the easiest to work with, and they still push back.
And I need you to know that the customer elected to have us facilitate this warranty situation, because if you were the average consumer and you walk in and say, well, I just had the stereo installed at my guy 12-volt stereo shop, and now my steering wheel control buttons don't work, the dealership's probably going to tell you to pound salt.
Yes.
Whereas when they said something to us, our guys had enough volition, Jeffrey and Greg, specifically go, yeah, no, you're going to look at it because we've actually already done the diagnostic. We know that it's the steering wheel control module, and therefore it is an isolated incident to the stereo. But because we know that as professionals, our dealership liaison, our acquaintances, they're not going to push back as much, and they still did.
And they
right?
still did.
Because they wanted that seed of doubt in there.
They absolutely. They just in case it didn't fix it. Cool. I understand. Whatever. But if we wouldn't have done all that diag and we wouldn't have been as reputable as we are, that dealership would have turned us away.
If you were just an average consumer walking in and you had just had a stereo installed, within the last, 6, 12 months or whatever,
And
they're just going to blame it that.
And this is the best dealership we have in our
vicinity.
Our plus
Yeah.
circle of the shop.
Yep.
Because put that in perspective.
Yep.
And I went a lot of dealerships when I went to buy my truck.
Sure. And I'm going to break this down. I'm going to give you the dirty secret of the dealerships, okay? And you think as a consumer, and of course, I grew up in a household. My grandparents were good Chevrolet people. They were GM. My grandfather was the GM's reward member. He had the GM credit card. When he went in there, he expected a degree of preferential treatment because he had that
He had the
association.
the stuff on his shirt.
Yep.
To say, hey, I am.
He had the credit card. He had the points.
I've,
he had
I
everything.
paid my dues. Now they're going to take
100%.
care of me.
And he would go to the dealership religiously for services. My grandmother, by extension, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. Here's where dealerships are today on the service end of things. So you may have a few techs, and you are going to have your air quote master technician. That master technician is most often only trained in their specific brand. So if you are at a BM dealership, I don't care if it's a master technician. He is not a master technician of Chrysler, Stellantis, Mopar, Jeep branded vehicles. So if they say, well, our master tech took a look at this before we put it out front, and you're at a BM dealership, I don't care. Because just because he's a good mechanic with BMWs does not mean he's a good mechanic at Jeeps. And we literally were just having this conversation before we went on air.
We literally lived this
We've lived this
for our customer
multiple times.
Yeah.
Jeff was telling us about the customer's Jeep stuck in Florida because the engine's blown up and
Yeah.
they bought it at a rando dealership.
Yep. And,
Okay.
And the dealership, the extended warranty, they're like, yep, not our problem.
Because the engine blew up.
The engine
But
blew up.
here's the other
That's
piece.
literally what that's for.
Warranty jobs pay less So for the dealership, if you go in for a job that your vehicle is under warranty, the warranty job factually pays less, typically somewhere between 40 and 60% of the value of the job less than a standard repair ticket. That means that I have customer A who comes in and wants their headlights changed. I'm making up stuff, folks, okay? They come in and the dealership quotes $100. Again, I'm totally making up these numbers, make it easy to digest. They quote $100. That dealership, then that technician gets a portion of that $100. The dealership gets $100. The technician gets a large portion, an appropriate portion of that $100. If a other customer comes in and says, hey, my headlights are under warranty, the dealership can say, yeah, that's $100 value. But realistically, corporate Stellantis is actually only going to reimburse a percentage of that. Again, 40 to 60%. So call it $40. So the same job, the same valuation, the same parts, the same part utilization, the same time invested. One pays $100, one pays $40.
And guess who's getting the $100 job and who's getting the $40 job?
The master tech and seniority get the $100 job.
Yep.
The lowest common denominator who has a pulse on the service floor gets the $40 job.
The guy that forgets to put the oil back in.
That's a flat out truth. That's irrefutable. Again, if you're listening to us for infotainment and you work within the dealer landscape, and I have a couple friends and folks, and I appreciate these individuals who are lifetime technicians and their intelligence and their dedication to our brand. This is not about you. Don't wear a shoe that doesn't fit. But I challenge the rest or even those to tell me that this is not the pervasive issue. But realistically, folks get the warranty work are not always the most absolutely qualified individuals. Yes, they've got some certificates. Yes, they've got some training. Yes, they've got some base qualifications and tools. But
they know how to change a part.
But they factually are not as qualified as that technician who's getting the full value service, the full value repair.
Yep.
And that is just how it works. I know that there are dealerships who have basically a round table to say that it just kind of goes cyclically. So yes, maybe this month that technician gets the 100, and as the warranties lay out, ultimately, you know, it's just the luck of the draw per se. So you could get a master tech who's getting the $40 job, but it's my understanding.
It's like a lottery at that point.
Yeah, it's like a lottery, but more so it's actually like a round robin in the sense that you have 10 jobs. As the 10 jobs come in, they cycle. And so eventually you're always cycling.
Is it bad? I just saw like the service tech all sitting in a circle and the service manager's just going, duck, duck.
Well, there's then that model as well, right? They're literally drawing the short straw.
The little light game from the arcades where the light's spinning around, you have to hit the button in time, and if you hit it, you get the job.
Yeah.
You know, and that is, you know, fact is that warranties pay less than standard service repairs. And so if the dealership is always going to want to initially do a factory service repair. The other part is based on hierarchy, flat rate pricing, and the general internal workings of dealership repair centers, you may not always have the most qualified technician working on your vehicle.
And then add another layer to this. That dealership then has to go to the OE, to Stellantis, and show, hey, this motor blew up. And Stellantis is going to go, well, why did it blow up?
Yes.
And they're going to want some qualifications. And if they don't give those,
they don't get paid.
They don't get paid.
Right.
So then you have this risk of the dealership performing the service, taking care of their customer, and them getting kind of shafted by the OE because there's yet another process of isolation for the OE.
Which is, in some cases, why vehicles sit at dealerships waiting for repair, because they're waiting for all that authorization before they do it.
And you get told as a customer, oh, we're waiting on a part.
Yep.
And that's also why I've seen a lot on the Gladiator groups where you finally get up the chain enough where you've been the squeaky wheel and you complain to the right person, and magically your truck's done in a week.
Yep.
Well, that's why.
Yeah. Unquestionably, I stand behind all this. I'm always open to conversation. And again, I have a couple individuals whom I think the world of, who are lifelong dealer technicians who are incredibly gifted when it comes to Jeeps. And I know that they will not agree with everything I say, but as a whole, this is based on my personal experience and our experience of customers who have come in here. We also can physically see what a part pays under warranty at the dealer level and what a part pays as retail or MSRP.
Yeah.
And we also know at an extent as far as the struggles that the dealerships have getting reimbursed or getting the parts to actually create the repair, getting the approval so that they're not out money.
Another good example that we ran into not that long ago is they had a campaign, which is basically tons of people have had this problem. People have lawyered up. They've gone after the OE, and there's a problem. Maybe safety of the nation have gone in and been like, hey, you got to do something with this.
Right.
They then make a kit to fix this problem. And if we went in, we priced this job, and we priced all the individual parts, and it was going to be, what, about $2,000
Yes.
roughly?
So it was, I think the whole job was going to be around 2G, I think. And the parts themselves were going to land around 15 to 18.
So
or not, no, I mean, your numbers aren't far off. You're good. It was going to be an exorbitant price.
It was an exorbitant amount of money.
It was close to 2. You're right.
And because we have some connections, we were able to find out that the kit price was like $68.
Yes. That's no joke.
So that is a situation where the OE has had their hand in the cookie jar, got slapped by the Safety Institute, and now have to make it worth their dealership's time to do this service because they're going to get slapped harder if these vehicles don't get fixed.
Right.
So they took a $2,000 part package and made it $68 so that dealership has margin.
Yep.
Because these jobs, this is past the warranty normally. This is rustier than they would normally deal with. They're going to have to give the tech a pep talk.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to need some Snickers to do this
say the
job.
least. To say the least.
So that's right there. Kind of, they're eating, the OE at that point is eating these parts. They're trying to make this go away.
Right. They have somehow figured out their lowest price point. They've bought in bulk. They've,
There's
garnered
loss
mass
leader.
production. They've used it as a loss leader. At this point in time, their job is to just clean this issue up and sweep it under the rug to the best of their ability.
Yep.
And they did create, this was actually an extended dealer or actually extended corporate. So basically, if you had a VIN number that fell within a certain production run and blah, 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 they actually went from 3 or 5 years to a full 10 years of this part of qualifications.
Yep.
And again, if you were to go in and go onesie twosies, you could have a vehicle that was 10 years off the production lot, and you go in and onesie twosie it, or go to your local mechanic and say, "Hey, I want OE parts because I believe in the quality control," and I authentically do, folks. I need you to know SFJ 4x4 sells a lot of OE parts because I do believe they are well built, well engineered, and when they're not
installed,
and when they're not, the OE will supersede. And so that's one of the big talking points for us is this a supersession part or is this a early model? So just because it's a new part doesn't mean that it's a good part, and that's a whole other conversation. But you could go in and you could spend $2,000, or you could have gone back to the OE and said, "Hey, I'm having this problem, and I think that I qualify for this." They might hem and haw a little bit, and they go, "Oh, yeah, you do. It's actually covered under warranty." I actually have spoken to a couple people who onesie-twosied repaired it or went in and had a bulk, service done and paid out the pocket for a service that the dealership has been providing for either free or a fractional cost.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, realistically. Now, I do want to make sure I get back to kind of hammering home the point of lift kits do not void warranties. That's just kind of flat out. If you have a steering wheel control module and you have a lift kit and a tire wheel package, that does not void a warranty.
They're not related at all.
Likewise, if you do a stereo and an engine modification, that does not change your Rubicon axle warranty.
Right.
There is literally common sense to be used here, right? Now, if you put a supercharger on your engine and you've had somebody doing some form of internal or boost-related services on your engine, and all of a sudden now you have oil pressure or variable valve timing issues or timing issues of some capacity,
That voids your warranty.
that voids your engine warranty. But it actually doesn't affect your steering wheel control module
Right.
or your axles.
Right.
And it's all about navigating those conversations with a trusted dealership to the best of your ability. And I think that's what becomes, a little challenge for the average consumer and for much of the conversations that I see transpire on, social spheres.
And in those situations, as a service writer wanting to do his job well, wanting to be honest and take care of his customer base, that's the realest, hardest part. Is you could have a great dealership, some rock stars taking care of their people. That person retires, their replacement, who knows?
Who knows?
Gloves are off, and that's literally why you'll see all the time, oh, I went to this dealership, they took care of me. I went to this dealership, it was terrible. That kind of stuff. It's about the people in the building.
It becomes incredibly circumstantial and subjective to those individuals who are both doing the work, as we mentioned, but also underwriting the work and validating it. And I see it all the time. We had a podcast conversation about insurance a couple weeks ago. I encourage you to bolster your insurance policy to ensure that you have aftermarket parts riders sufficiently covered. However, if you have a good insurance adjuster, he's going to write for those parts to the best of their ability, he or she. If you do not, they're going to attempt to not pay out to the best of their ability. And I'm going to use this again, personal example. We just recently dealt with very nice insurance writer, regionally, was from south of us by 2-3 hours and said, hey, we want to pay out, I'm going to make up a number again, folks, $80 an hour for mechanical services. And I said, that's cool, but our price is $130 an hour. So that's either means you put $50 an hour back on your consumer, or you're going to appropriately pay out. Now, the thing is, I know that they have the capacity to appropriately pay out, but they asked to only pay us $80 of our value. And I got to be honest, I'm not taking 60% of what we're worth and putting 40% back on the consumer who pays into their insurance policy.
And that is always the case.
And the same is going to go for any of these, warranty policies or insurance policies that we're talking about.
And I'll even go further. They even do that with big fleet service. So any vehicles that you see like U-Haul or your gas company's cars or that kind of stuff, they literally go in and say, I'm only going to pay this much an hour.
Yes.
And they don't care what the service shop says that their thing is. That's all they're going to do.
And that is part of the game. We have to talk about the financial recourse of these services, because as we mentioned with the warranties at many dealerships, while some have the round robin, the little light that, whoever it hits is who gets the job. Some have the short straw issue. Many, to my knowledge, have your master technicians and your service techs gets the better jobs, and your apprentices and early techs get some of the crappier jobs. That's my experience with many, many dealerships.
Yep.
And when a job simply pays less, the most qualified individual is not often the person who's going to be working on it.
Well, and to mention the flat hour rate, they are on a time system. They're only getting paid for so many hours, so they are rushing through those jobs, trying to get them done as quick as possible. So then you lose some of that quality aspect of making sure it's done right. So that's another big factor. But I think we need to talk about, too, what type of things are generally not going to be covered under warranty, and clarify that some, because, yeah, we know we can change the lift kit, and that should still be covered under warranty despite what dealers say. But what things should people know are just not covered under warranty? Brakes, windshields, things like that.
And if there is a weird scenario where somebody says, because I know of a certain dealership in a certain town that was covering brakes, that was a vendetta that dealership chose to offer as a customer service piece to make you want to come to them.
Yep.
And to return with
100%.
them. But that is not the norm.
No, I do know of a dealership that's offering pads and rotors as a warranty right now in Erie.
Yes.
And I think they're crazy
Yes.
because
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's fine. But, I mean, and that's the thing, is that I think that this goes back to, powertrain warranties. We use these general or generic vernaculars to categorize aspects of the vehicle and what is or isn't warrantable. That allows some of that circumstance or subjectivity to enter the conversation, because I say powertrain, well, what's powertrain? If I say water intrusion, what's water intrusion?
Yeah.
And while there is a dedicated legal team, I guarantee you that, who's helping define that at the highest corporate level, by the time that trickles down to your local dealership, it's wallowing with the pigs in the mud at that point.
They're purposely putting it in vaguer terms so that they can stipulate and leave themselves an out if they need it. And some dealerships take advantage of that out, whereas others do have integrity and try to follow at least the best of their ability customer service.
And I will mention, before I kind of lose this thought process, and we'll get back to what is and isn't warrantable items. The challenge is individuals who abuse it, and then people who simply don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So you have taken your vehicle to Jim Bob's 4x4 shop in Tallahassee, Florida. I don't know. Florida tends to wrong me in a lot of 4x4 shops. They pop up, they screw up Jeeps, and then they go away. But regardless, you take your Jeep there, you are none the wiser. You believe that you have consulted professionals, that they have installed a quality product. You just knew you wanted a lift kit. You just knew you wanted tires and wheels. And I don't know, maybe you wanted gears to be done, something, right? And next thing you know, your transfer case is blown up, okay? And it's like, well, that should be warrantable. Why did my transfer case blow up? Why did my transfer case die? That's unrelated to a lift, unrelated to tires and wheels, unrelated to gears. My transfer case, obviously, that should be a manufacturer issue. And next thing you know, you go to the dealership, and the dealership goes, yeah, well, they put the wrong gears in the front and the wrong gears in the back. And, of course, your transfer case had no chance of survival because, you had it screwed up. No, it's not. It's no longer warrantable.
And sadly, that is why some dealerships kind of go, oh, it's all bad, guilty by association. All shops that do aftermarket stuff use cheap parts, low-quality things, and they break your Jeep. And that, just like any time we stereotype everything being the same way, that's not correct.
Yeah.
Because here we are, an aftermarket shop that tries to do everything to the highest level we can, which is also why the dealership begrudgingly worked with us.
Sure.
Because they know after we push the envelope a little bit back across the desk at them, no, we're not doing hack work. We're using good parts. It truly is this part. And even then, they still wanted the, well, let us look at it thing.
Sure. And we actually personally experienced a customer of ours whose Jeep was under a warranty at that time. And he went in, and we had installed gears and traction devices for him. He actually had an Auburn Ected, which is in his front axle, which is a posi and then a completely selectable locker. It was a really cool initial design intended to kind of be the best of both worlds. And he goes in for a completely unrelated warranty item. I authentically have no recollection what it was, engine, transmission, whatever. And on good accord, and I go on record saying that the master Jeep technician at this dealership, quote, told him that he could not have that in the front of his Jeep because it will rip apart his powertrain and he will not be able to turn corners or have any type of longevity out of that vehicle. And he looked at me and goes, well, that's funny because it's been in there for 3 months now. So anything that has to do with it is done, gone, and resolved. And I've been in four-wheel drive plenty of times. And he said, our customer then says to them, okay, but tell me, Rubicons have lockers, factory. How come mine is going to, blow up in your scenario and those do not? And he produced it's aftermarket, it's this, it's that.
Guilty by association.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's just factually incorrect because they took that guilty by
sadly,
association.
because we work on everything, we know Rubicons had problems with their lockers, and they've redesigned them, 4 times
At
just
least.
in the current platform.
And the electronic controls.
Yep.
And that's what I was going to mention as far as the use and abuse of warranty situation. Let's say your Jeep now has electrical gremlins and you think that it's warrantable, but you recently just had a tow kit installed on your 18, 19 plus Jeep. We literally had in the shop within the last 6 weeks a customer who went to a reputable 12-volt shop to get a brake controller installed, and they wired the brake controller
To the horn.
to the horn.
To the horn.
This is a known, reputable off-road 12-volt shop, and they wired the brake controller to the horn. Now,
Greg had so much fun with that one.
the funny thing is, it never worked. The customer, unfortunately, was none the wiser. A brake controller is kind of a hard thing to really be aware of.
It kind of worked when you hit the horn.
So if you were trailering and someone cut you off,
And
at
you
least
hit the horn.
you had brakes then
You had brakes then.
while you honked at them.
Yeah.
So, of course, if that would have been discovered and or the customer had reservation, they went to the dealership. Could you imagine what the dealership would have
But they
said?
would have had a heyday.
I mean, we fixed it, but ultimately the Jeep was 18 or 19, and so it did not have any any warranty remaining. But that is the kind of stuff. Customer goes in and goes, hey, I'm having electrical issues. Obviously, it's just because, JL Wranglers are glitchy. No, it's because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Mm-hmm. And so there are challenges, and that's why the dealership does have to insulate themselves a little bit in the process. And so there is some consumer responsibility for you to elect to make good choices, and whether that's going to a dealership, going to an installer whom is reputable within your area. Though this electrical horn situation they're sort of reputable, so that's wild to me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
whatever. But there is some consumer responsibility to say, hey, you are responsible for choosing those parts, choosing your installers, and then verifying the functionality.
Well, not only that, you just said that, but that's still the consumer's job to make sure that brake controller worked. And when that reputable 12-volt shop didn't do it right, to make them fix it.
Right.
And that didn't happen.
Correct.
So, again, that's back on the consumer.
At least from our standpoint.
From our standpoint, you should have hooked up a trailer and been like, hey, this doesn't work, and then gone back and been like, hey, this doesn't work. Now, when they then push back and say, no, you're full of malarkey, well, now we can just drag them through the
but
mud.
I am empathetic because, quite frankly, Jeannie is a perfect example of this, where she literally had a suspension kit put on by a individual or a shop.
Yep.
She knew it was never right,
Yes.
And they push back by saying, no, it is. It's this, that, and the third. And unfortunately, there are things that we inherently see. We can read part numbers. We can validate and verify with the manufacturer to understand that factually the wrong parts were just never used. But
Right parts were not used, you mean?
Oh, correct. The correct parts were never used in this situation. But that's really hard when you're an average consumer and you're entrusting somebody to make an adequate repair or modification for you. So, with that said, and we're going to have to kind of bring this, to some form of resolution or conclusion, this conversation with warranties, and we had said we would get back to third-party warranty companies, and that is in part why the third-party warranty company then became a viable sales product. Not only was it a financial package that made sense that could get rolled into financing that makes everybody a couple more dollars, but when the dealership wanted to insulate themselves from some of this rigmarole, they could then pass the buck on to the third-party warranty companies. Now, to address the question Jeff said, what are some of the things that are warrantable or not warrantable? First and foremost, my recommendation for folks is to kind of go hard line into the fine print of the warranties, because you can actually elect for pennies on the dollar within those warranties, typically the extended stuff, for more comprehensive packages.
Yes.
And that does become a degree of legal standing if you're willing to kind of fight the good fight of getting those services rectified.
And not only that, if you're not willing, if you know that about yourself, hey, I'm not going to push the envelope. I'm not going to go after them. I'm not going to ask 4 times to get this repaired. Just don't pay for it.
Correct.
Because when you buy that, you have to admit, I'm going to put in the effort then to get paid for it, because they're not going to do it the first time.
No, they're not, and they're not going to do it on the repair centers end either. Very few repair centers have the personnel load, the ability to dedicate individuals to collecting from these third-party repair, warranty, and insurance offerings.
For a while there, it was just Neil's, like, I'm going to make them pay.
That's true.
And even then, it still didn't make sense after a while.
But
because of how much time we were dedicating.
I will say we've talked a lot of trash on the extended warranties. I actually have had a really good experience one time with one where I had a Cherokee that I bought the extended warranty on when I bought it brand new. 2 years in, I had multiple issues that they just took care of each time. And then it had a massive water leak issue. The back carpet was absolutely soaked. And I took it in. This is when I bought my Gladiator. I took it in. I said, you know what? I'm really upset with it. They're like, hey, it's all under warranty. You've got that extended plan. We're going to take care of it. And I was like, well, while I'm here, I'm going to look. And I ended up buying the Gladiator. They took it in on trade because I bought the extended warranty. They didn't discredit any value on the trade. And they credited me back the difference on the warranty, the prorated amount on the warranty towards my Gladiator.
Well, there is still
So there are times where they do
and
good.
I think that is why this is actually not a legal issue.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you do sort of what you're supposed to do,
yes,
right? But the issue is you're producing that in defense of them for simply doing what they said they were going to do.
Correct.
Right?
And that's what I'm saying. There are times.
And I'm glad you did.
There
right?
are times where they will do what they're supposed to, so they're not always bad.
Yeah,
but
and I come down to the fact that, and this is why those of you who may or may not know, I was an
You okay over
athlete.
there, Scott?
Yeah, I took the breath away. I was an athlete in my former days, and football was a very important part of my life. And my coach did not let us celebrate touchdowns. And I, to this day, think it's silly when people celebrate touchdowns. I understand feeling good, but he was like, "That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do."
I'm for celebrating a touchdown when you're already winning, but when you're down, like 30-0, and you get a touchdown, and you go out and make this big celebration. Get off the field.
Yeah,
Get off the field.
That's what I feel like with these with warranty situations. Now there are, like we said, there are benefits and whatnot. At one point in time, Jeep Chrysler corporate tried doing the lifetime powertrain warranty.
I remember that.
That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist for a reason. But it was either 2012, 13, or 14. I genuinely don't remember.
And
somebody
again,
will correct me.
So they had problems
I
with the
thought it was earlier
3.6
than that even.
with the early models with head
Right.
problems. So for a buyer confidence,
I think that's what it was.
they made a coverage up to 15, 16 was 100,000 mile coverage on the motor.
Right.
And that's because somebody came in, was burned by their 12, and they have to talk sweetly to that person to get them back into a new Jeep, to get them
Yes.
back in the dealership.
It was 07 and 09.
Was the lifetime powertrain
Yeah.
warranty.
Yeah.
And that was only
Because
extended.
it was when I was selling them. That's why I was like, I think
Well, I'm
it was
glad
earlier.
yeah, that's fine. And that was when they were launching the new Wrangler, and
Yes.
so they were trying to inspire people to go out and buy the new JK Wrangler platform.
Well, they had a lot of things going on around that time because they had the reworked Liberty coming out around there. They
Yes.
had the Commander coming out around there.
But of course, there was a ton of stipulate. Oh, we should always have. We should have a soundbite for any time we mention a commander, which should just be like a cat hacking up a hairball. That's anytime we mention a commander. Or a moment of silence for what should have
Just
been.
real quick sidebar, a YouTuber just bought a Commander.
Yes.
He's modifying it, and one of his things was not all Jeeps are bad. And I was like, you picked the worst model Jeep.
I kind of want to buy a commander just to destroy it on YouTube. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted that Jeep to be something it was never going to be.
It was supposed to be so much better.
I was told it was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? We just gotta put a pin in it. What I will say, State Farm was a third-party warranty or extended warranty coverage. And
Hashtag not sponsored.
Oh, yeah, hashtag definitely not sponsored. But that was one of the ones that was the most straightforward. They actually covered leaking axle seals for a customer.
And you know why that was? Because they're a big, huge insurance company, and they have to, because you're going to take your ball and go somewhere else.
And that's what I was going to say is that not only is that one of the ones that I produce, but then choose wisely with another reputable or regional provider, right? If this is some obscure warranty company and they're like, yes, we just provide warranties and this is our focus, I understand that specific sales pitch. But when you have a institution that has a household name with financial resources, it is my opinion that they're going to do a better job of honoring the services they say that they're going to provide.
And even then, they're still not always going to, but they do better. And sometimes it comes down to what agent you have and who's going to fight for you.
100%.
But the reason I wanted to bring up the things that are not covered under warranty, we're really out of time, but a windshield, for example, is something that's not covered under warranty. However, we have a sponsor who has a product to help with that.
100%. And it is Windshield Defense by Racing Optics. It is a triple layer film, which is super cool because it is a screen protector for your windshield. And if you can install a screen protector on your phone and not get little bubbles and hair and it all out of center, then you too can install this on your Jeep. And we encourage you to go to their website, use code SFJ20 to get yourself 20% off on the product.
Plus free shipping.
And, go home. You're going to have to clean the heck out of your windshield. Now, the couple installs we did, we actually discovered just how many chips and wear and abrasions were already present in the JL and JT windshields that we were doing, that both of our customers were none the wiser.
Yeah. It was amazing.
And it was amazing because it just kind of looked like bug guts and other, day-to-day stuff. So if you are an individual who has recently gotten your windshield changed or you've bought a brand new vehicle, you are the person who absolutely should run out and get one of these. When the first layer gets all schmutzed up, you just go, you peel, there's a little perforated edge at the corner, you peel it off, and you have a brand new crystal clear protective screen protector on your windshield. The manufacturer actually shot ball bearings at their test vehicle.
It was a really fun interview with them to hear that.
And it did not break. And so I encourage you to insulate yourself from that, that expense, because these calibrated windshields, your adaptive cruise control that we're seeing on
Ooh,
a
they're
number of
not
the
cheap.
smart windshields, they're upwards of $2,000. So, for a couple $100, you could be saving yourself a ton of money. Folks, this was a great conversation. We got to quit it. If you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. Email us, contact, CONTACT at sfj4x4.com. Text us on our text-only number, 440-855-2100. Until next time, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on. That's a fun episode, but we could go on and on and on for hours on that
I'll
topic.
beat that horse until there's no horse left.
I know.
That's true.
I know. I'm like, we're way over time.
And
Holy
honestly,
cow.
we did not cover your flow that you had produced.
No.
And
No.
I feel like there was stuff that I
Yeah,
we
there's-
didn't get
we
to talk
can't do
about.
every one, just an extra, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah.
We just can't. So on to weekend updates. Fittingly, my weekend update is I have my Clausing 1300.
I'm going to stop for 1 second, and I want people to know that the name brand of Scott's lathe is Clausing, right?
Yes.
So if you were unaware last week or so when he said he got a Clausing lathe, I think there was a brief confusion for some people. They were like, "You got a closet lathe or a closing lathe, or what did Scott make up this time?" Clausing is the name brand
Yes.
of the lathe. Now, for those of you like Bill, who reached out, who actually runs a Clausing in his his day job, he
Yes.
thought it was really cool because he
Yes.
was able to connect
He
with
heard
us.
he knew what I was talking
And
about.
he was able to give us some tech number.
So
So you also had somebody reach out.
So we have, in any regard, I got under power yesterday, got all the wiring done. I had to upgrade my previous wiring that was for the mill, of course, because when I did that, I was like, oh, I'm never going to have a 3-phase lathe. And then I did.
Classic Scott.
So I went ahead and did all that. But I came in today to instructions and parts manual for a 1300 series lathe, dealer master parts manual, literally for my lathe.
That's so cool.
So cool. So much thanks goes out to
Individual who brought that in.
individual who gave it to me. But I learned something already just flipping through it this morning. So I can't wait to go home and read that cover to cover
Yep.
and have that at my disposal to use for the future.
That's very cool. And yeah, like you said, for folks who are aware of your socials, we got to see some lathes running.
Yep.
The one with the belts, is that the Clausing?
The ones with the belt is my 1932 South Bend.
That's the one. That's the South Bend that's for sale.
That's for sale. I think a couple people got turned off on my ad because I literally said it's a 1932. It works great. It's a good little lathe. This one's just bigger.
Yeah.
And I can put bigger stuff in it. This is more what my dad had. And honestly, I'm just spoiled.
Sure.
I was used to using a bigger lathe that the cut amount and the size and that kind of stuff. What I have now is basically apples to apples to that. Where the other lathe, you have to be more understanding. It's a hobby lathe. You have to go in and make small cuts and have time and that kind of stuff. And I honestly just was losing patience with that. Other than that, it works great.
Right. I feel like if you're, an enthusiast, maybe doing RC or doing fine metal, like little intricate
Well,
stuff.
with that said, it did everything I asked it to.
Sure.
It just had to be a little more patient. And there was a couple instances where we needed some bigger stuff done here at the shop. Just couldn't do those. Now I can, and I just like to be the one-stop shop.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, and if anybody out there is interested in that South Bend, which is obviously an incredibly reputable name brand in a piece of machinery, Scott is selling it. So get a hold of him on his personal page, and let's make a deal.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
I had a very long, hot weekend at the Albion Fireworks Festival. It was a good time, but I was there with our nonprofit, Heberly's Heartstrings. We were out there with our instruments so people could borrow instruments from the library. We were selling our raffle tickets for the 2 different raffles we're doing and advertising for our Labor Day event in downtown Erie for that 2-day music fest. We have over 40 artists registered, so it's really exciting. And honestly, it was just a good time being out there talking with everybody and just enjoying that. We did sell quite a few raffle tickets. Obviously, still selling them. We'll have them on sale right through the event, and then we're doing the drawing at the event.
Very cool. And obviously, 'tis the season to celebrate Independence Day, and obviously that they did their fireworks already. Correct?
They did their fireworks Sunday night. Yep, and that was a pretty good show.
Did you stay to watch?
I was cleaning up. My kids absolutely watched from the truck bed. They were sitting in the truck bed watching
Nice.
it.
I
while we were
wondered if
cleaning
you
up.
were able to kind of involve the family.
Yeah, they came for the whole weekend. It was a good opportunity for them to come out and sit with us. Xander, the whole time, he has recently learned how to play the Jurassic Park theme song on piano. So we had a keyboard set up with power. And the whole time, every single person that walked by, he'd go, hi. And if they responded, do you want to hear me play Jurassic Park? And he would go, and everybody loved it. So he'd go and play Jurassic Park on the keyboard. And honestly, it racked up some donations for us of him doing it.
So when you went to sleep Sunday night, is that what you heard?
Yeah, it was like
As you
that's
went to sleep?
you just the Jurassic Park theme song in your brain.
The whole way home, as we're driving, we had the doors off on the Jeep driving home at midnight, Sunday night, driving
Last
home.
night.
Yeah, last night.
Last night.
Yeah, last night driving home, and doors are off, tops off, and every so often I just hear the song whistling, and I look over and Kristen's just whistling. Goes, I don't know, it's stuck in my head.
All right, so I told you guys I was going to consume a couple minutes,
Well, you've got a few minutes.
and I have a taste test to do here.
He was hiding it under his hat in the back corner so that we didn't know what it was.
So I'm gonna. Oh man, I need you.
Ooh, they're Mission brand.
Mission brand.
I like Mission
Okay.
brand.
Oh, well, great. I'm so glad for you. So I'm opening up your guys' bags of chips, just FYI, and I'm gonna go ahead and adorn my new hat.
Oh boy.
Not so well. Okay, reach in there. I need you to pull out a couple chips. Reach in there, pull out a couple chips, and
Oh,
Really?
fun are those? Go ahead,
Really?
take your bags of chips
Really?
now. Take your bag of chips.
That
So
is hilarious.
so these are, as you mentioned,
they're race car chips.
they're race car
They are
chips.
race car chips.
So I had a unique opportunity, and for those of you at home who can't see, I did open up, two personal size bags of
Is
chips.
yours a different race car than mine, or is it the same?
There's
Should
different
be.
ones in there.
That actually is a motorcycle.
There are
I just
different
happened to get two of the
You
same.
got two, yeah, and you'll have motorcycles in yours.
Oh, okay.
And this is, folks know my propensity for large straw hats. I actually got myself a Mickey Thompson branded straw hat at this point. And
So, Matt apparently invited you to go do something.
so I did not actually get an invite directly from Mickey Thompson. My inspiration for this was I could have gotten some other branded product, but since we will be partnering with them and have partnered with them and will be on site with them doing some content footage, I thought it would only be appropriate that I represent for them sufficiently. No, I had a unique opportunity. I actually was at the NHRA Nationals this weekend. And so yesterday I sat trackside while it was 85 degrees in hot, beating sun. The track was 144 degrees.
See, this is why Scott doesn't like to go fast, because I would just die.
It was...
No. If you were going fast, you were fine. You got that breeze.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't going fast.
He was
and
sitting-
No.
Sitting in place.
No. You don't understand it going fast. Because I tried this once. You have to have your windows up. You have to have a fire suit on. You have to have a helmet. No one is cool going down the track.
Nobody is
That's fair.
cool.
That's
Nobody
fair.
was temperate. It
No.
was the armpit of Hades at the Summit Racing Park up in Norwalk, Ohio. And it was spectacular. Top fuel dragsters, funny cars, the best of the best from coast to coast. And, 330 miles per hour.
It's insane.
I was so close that when the car launched, your chest vibrates and the heat from the pipes scorches your face.
Yep.
It
And
wasn't hot enough yet.
and it was insane.
Yep.
Now, I will tell you that I actually preferred the sportsman class. I did make sure to watch as many classes to appropriately kind of engage in the, motorsports industry to the best of my ability to kind of be that guy, if you will. Because of course, most people know would be most happy with if Jeep made a pickup truck that was just a motor, a seat, a bench seat, and a bed. That's got me written all over it,
So similar to the FC sitting in their shop.
Similar to the FC sitting in the shop, yeah, gorgeous. But so to have just you're strapped to an engine and a set of tires running down the track was pretty cool. But the sportsman class, what I thought, and I get like a top fuel dragster turning 330 miles per hour, 2,400 plus horsepower. That's cool, right? I get that. But the sportsman class is taking a 50, 60-year-old piece of American iron and making it go 140 miles per hour. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive, We're not the latest and greatest technology, carbon fiber, perfect blueprint, front end and sheet metal. We're talking classic, Camaros and Mustangs and Chevelles going 140 miles per hour.
100%.
That was cool.
That's just like any other racing. I get more invested when I see something that could have been on the road that is now on the track. When they make it purpose-built, of course it goes 300 miles an hour.
Right.
Because we just are at that technology and we can do whatever we need to. But then you have to work around that original chassis.
Correct. When you have to kind of retrofit it to make it go fast.
Yep.
That's impressive. Now, I think I know that I'm in the minority. The bulk of the attendees, from the grandstands to the trackside.
They like the flash in the pan stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why jet trucks and stuff like that are always a big fan favorite.
Correct.
Or really competitions down the track. That's exciting.
Correct. And that all happened of a degree. No jet trucks, but the rest of the
thankfully.
So obviously this was unexpected. How did you end up there?
So it was reasonably expected. We did have a friend invite us to come in and participate. My wife and I went.
So you've kept this quiet for a while, is what you're saying?
I have. Yep.
Oh.
I have. And my wife, in as cute as she is, little dress, has her Hello Sunshine straw hat, which she intelligently brought. I did not bring my straw hat. She brought hers.
You didn't bring it because you needed to buy a new one.
Well, and I'm so glad that I did because of the Mickey Thompson branded one. But it was a great experience, and all of those motorsport professionals from the RVs, the toter homes, the mobile shops, the teardown of the engines, the checking track humidity. I mean,
it's a science.
It's a science. It was so cool to be involved in that space. And interestingly enough, the rumor mill, and I didn't fact check this, is they don't even run the true distance that they used to run, because the cars would get so fast they would actually not be able to decelerate by the time they reach the end of that established track.
The shutdown area is very important.
Right. So there was my weekend update, which was super cool. Actually, and we fixed the tractor. We did this. We did that. I mean, it was a very busy, full, awesome weekend.
Speaking of warranty voiding, and you actually thought yours would not be covered.
Correct.
And it actually was.
Yeah, which is just, again, a testament to the air quotes dealership and tractor dealership that I bought mine from. Not only did they adequately make me a new hydraulic line, but then they actually delivered the hydraulic line. Then when they realized that I would need hydraulic oil, they delivered hydraulic oil to me.
I'm not going to lie, when she delivered that, I thought it was just used oil. She's like, hey, I've got some oil for you. I'm like, oh, cool, because we always get used oil for the shop.
Yes.
So I go out to grab it. I'm like, did you need the bucket back? She's like, no.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I was looking at a new bucket. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
This is tractor oil.
Yeah.
Hydraulic.
The dealership actually was like, hey, we know you're going to need a bucket of oil to replace what you lost in the hydraulic line. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to that consumer experience and what your expectation is
That's
going to
also
be,
why you went there to buy it.
which is 100% why I initially chose them, because that was their reputation.
Yep.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed our weekend update. Till next week. Oh, not next week. 2 weeks from now. Jeep on.
Keep on.
Jeep on.